Welcome to round 3 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of May 8th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
We're moms of teens and young adults, and when it comes to parenting, we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But we're still waiting for that day when we'll reach the finish line and have no further need to lay down in a dark room with a wet rag over our eyes, worrying about something or other. Wednesday is Complaint Day here on Parenting Roundabout, and today we are complaining about people complaining about and hating on kids, and by extension, their parents. So, Nicole, you found this article on Sarcastic Mommy about an increased dislike of children in our society?
Yes, shockingly enough.
It's increased. It hasn't been around for a while.
Right? I mean, maybe it's the first time this site wrote that article, but...
When I was going out to restaurants with my kids when they were little, I didn't feel the warm embrace of my fellow patrons.
Right.
Especially as my son was standing up on the seat and looking over at people. See, if a kid does that, I turn around and I say, hi there, and then I scare them and they sit down and cry, but still.
Right.
I don't know. I don't hate on kids.
Well, apparently, according to people who do not like kids, their reasons are children are noisy, they ask too many questions, they're not intelligent and therefore boring.
Wow.
They force you to entertain them, and they need constant monitoring.
Okay, now my first question is, do any of these adults or their friends ever drink? Do they drink in excess? Because when they do, they are all of those things, and they are adults.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Which is even worse.
If you're out at the bars of a Friday night, I don't want to hear about how hard children are to deal with.
Right.
You're worse. Anyway. Yeah, well, yeah. You know, dogs will pee on your carpet, and yet we still love dogs, okay? Nah.
So somebody wondered if maybe it's because people, they're suggesting that this is a new sentiment. And to be honest, I haven't seen an article like this before. The one that just kind of so blatantly says,
yeah,
are kids dislikable? Or is there an increased dislike of children? But they're also referring to the pandemic, saying that people spent a lot of time in their own very controlled environment. And they got used to that. And so now their tolerance level is much lower when they go out into public and there's children around. Not sure if that's...
I wonder if it's not just children. I mean, it's like your tolerance for basically everyone and
everybody
has, because you hear about the way people treat each other, like in public spaces. It doesn't have to be a kid, but people are very intolerant, it seems, of other people's presence in the world.
Well, and to be honest, it's adults that make it horrific most of the time.
Yeah.
Not kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think like it used to be, kids should be seen but not heard, right? But there was still like a acknowledgement that like kids are a thing that we all experience, we need children in order to, have a society. So, maybe people didn't bring kids to like a fancy restaurant or whatever, but they were accepted in other places, and maybe that's changing. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. I remember being very annoyed when my son was little because I wanted to take him. He loved, and this was when he was like 3. He loved the Broadway Lion King. Like he listened to the soundtrack every single night. He looked at the like photo program. It wasn't a storybook. It was pictures. He wanted to look at that all the time. And I wanted to take him. He had seen it, obviously once at a theater near us, and I was going to take him to see it again somewhere else. And they would not sell tickets to a kid under 4 or 5 or whatever. There was an age limit. And I was like, excuse me, like, I'm paying for this. Like,
yes,
you will not take my money? Like, I can judge whether he can do it or not.
And also,
can.
it's the Lion King.
I know.
Not like
it's
Death
for
of
kids.
a Salesman, you know?
Exactly. I was very, very mad.
Yeah.
Happened. Like, come on, I want to pay you.
Some savvy theater person should have set up a showing of that, either just for families or, you know, welcoming of families.
Right.
And you don't go to that theater if you don't want to have kids around you.
Right.
Because I'm sure he's not the only kid who would have loved to have seen that again and again and again.
Right.
And somebody should have wanted to take your money again and again and again.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm surprised that nobody picked up on that audience and exploited them ruthlessly.
No. I mean, and I didn't,
You want
I didn't
souvenirs,
test
kids?
it out.
Look.
I didn't like just say, like, just buy the tickets anyway and be like, yeah, try to stop me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what would have happened if I had, but anyway, that's just an example of like,
Yeah.
sort of short-sightedness around
Yes.
being tolerant of kids.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I mean, adults, I guess, feel like they need their spaces and they don't like them to be violated, but get over yourself. I don't know.
right.
I mean, parents have to be smart about where they bring their kids, but at the same time, I don't know how real this is. Maybe a little bit.
Right.
But it's also, I have to have an article for my blog.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me all the things you don't like about kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it started with like Reddit.
Yeah.
You gotta take it with a
Reddit,
big
that
old grain of
basket
salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do hear and see things like this. But then I go on social media and, you know, of course it's just who I choose to follow and everything. But I see so many things with celebrities showing pictures of their kids and their pregnancies and all of this stuff. And thousands of people saying, oh, your kid is so cute. Oh, this is so wonderful. Oh, children are so great. Or what, you know, it's like, I mean, maybe they wouldn't really want to be in a restaurant with them. But still, there seems to be a general positivity about kids. At least in the accounts I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. Similarly to, you know, everybody loves dogs. You wouldn't necessarily want a dog sitting next to you in the theater, but that doesn't mean we hate dogs.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Everybody just needs to calm down, I think. But it is
Usually a good a good
It is
policy.
difficult when you have, I mean, I always had a kid who was, I mean, he could not have sat still in the theater. He was the person they were keeping your kid out because of.
Right. But you knew that and you didn't bring him there, you know?
Sometimes, you know, you want to go to a restaurant or you want to go to a movie or you want to be in a public place. You want to go to the mall and your kid acts up and people look at you like, how dare you, you know, abuse the sanctity of this space here in a corner of a toy store.
Right.
What is wrong with you? So, you know, it would be nice if everybody could just be tolerant of everybody else, but...
Sure would.
You know, yeah, but I didn't take them to, you know, Chez Snob for dinner and expect that, you know, people with the expensive bottle of champagne at the next table were having to listen to my kid scream. But
well, and that's a good point. The fact that you were aware of that and worked around it, or at least tried to mitigate some of the issues that would arise when you took your son out in public, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there, you know, there are people that are unaware of that. And that can create a lot of negative feelings. Like, I don't know if you heard of that story recently of the mom on the plane with the 2 kids.
And and the kids spilled like popcorn or something.
Yeah. And there was a big hullabaloo about her being asked to pick up her kids' popcorn. And she was offended, highly offended, or her husband was offended or something along those lines. But, I mean, I could see, you know, I think in that case I'd be more mad at the mom, like the for letting that, for not being aware of that.
But if it was a grown-up who spilled popcorn, no flight attendant would be like, you need to pick that up,
Yeah, true.
We all make a certain amount of mess. I mean, if the kids were throwing popcorn at people in other aisles, I would say that would be a thing.
Well, you had to see the picture. It was pretty messy.
I guess.
Like, it was pretty bad.
How much did she pay for the plane tickets? It's like, yes, you have to be sensitive what your kids are doing. And, I mean, if they were tearing the upholstery, I would say, yeah. If they were poking the people in front of them with a stick. If they made some food detritus, and if eating the popcorn helped them sit still and be quiet, aren't they going to vacuum the plane anyway?
Right.
No, they don't really do that between flights.
Well, they should. And it's like, yeah, I won't take my kid into a big fancy restaurant or into a theater or something like that, but don't shoot me dirty looks at McDonald's. Don't shoot me dirty looks at Applebee's. You know what? It's like there's got to be a safe space. There's got to be a place where the different things merge. And you can't just say, no, you may sit at home and I better not see that kid on a Zoom call. We share the planet, y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, a plane is one of those places where...
Yeah.
You kind of have to be more mindful of your personal space.
Yeah, but I mean, if the popcorn was within their personal space, and if it's just on the floor.
No, it was everywhere around them.
It was like in other aisles in front of other passengers?
I don't know how far, but I
would say if it was all over. I'm a terrible, permissive, horrible person, but I would say if it was within their bank of seats, just let it go. If they're
so then the next people come on the plane.
No, I think that the stewardess or whoever, they don't clean the plane at all in between people.
Not really. I mean, they wipe some seats down. I think not even.
I mean,
no.
There's non-popcorn stuff that could get on the floor. I'm just saying. I don't know. I think that for the I don't know, airline travel is a lot different now than it used to be. But it still costs a pretty penny, I believe. And you don't get to be mean to some passengers just because they're families.
But I guess the point is that, like, that's not the child's problem. That's the parent's problem.
Okay, right? So the drunk businessman who spills alcohol on the floor and who, puts candy wrappers or drops his napkin from his dinner or whatever, who makes a mess. Do they make him get on his hands and knees and vacuum up the stuff? I don't think they do.
No, he would get kicked off.
I don't know. I just think... I didn't see the picture of the popcorn. Maybe it was egregious.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like people may sometimes have expectations of families that families cannot reasonably meet. And I am tending to be sympathetic. Having a kid on a plane flight, especially a kid...
But what prevents the
having
adult?
My kids on a plane flight was difficult. Having my son on a plane flight was difficult.
Yeah,
he would
totally.
Open,
but what prevents the adult from
5,000 times
preventing that? Like, not preventing it, but I mean, didn't you tidy up a little bit after you left a space that was decimated by a child?
How long the flight was and how exhausted I was, probably. I think I would have maybe had an expectation that they clean the plane in between flights. And if they don't, why not? They can't vacuum? We are off the topic here. This is why people dislike children, is because of mothers like me. That's fine. I can accept that. I'm still a little woozy from that anesthesia that I had a couple of weeks ago. Did I mention that they cut my neck open?
Let's blame it on that. Well, suffice to say that it's not all the children's fault that they're being dislikable, quote unquote dislikable.
Right.
I think parents, adults play a role in that as well. So
you know how I feel about women parents, though, too. So.
Well, let's just shut this conversation down before.
Yes. This is why people don't like me. That will be the topic of our next. There's an increased dislike of Terry amongst the podcast listeners.
always
You're
a joy.
Replace me with ChatGPT, aren't you? Okay,
Yeah.
come on here. Terry lost her voice.
Move on.
Well, here, meet our new artificial intelligence.
Yes, and we're going to be able to input exactly what we want you to say.
That's right.
So it's in our favor.
Aye.
Tune in tomorrow when we'll obsess about ChatGPT, and then on Friday to see what we've come up with for our Roundup picks this week. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.